Good morning. Also, I think I'm going to pull out my... It's option for me, you know? It's the option for me. Good morning. Ben! How are you? Oh my gosh. Listen, I watch you like crazy. You are so good at what you do. No, it's not. She's doing TV interviews.
Yeah, something like that.
Who are you doing TV interviews with, Barry?
Because I was like, I'm ready to see you on the Today Show. She said, well.
Oh my god.
I know. I said,
Barry,
okay.
What you do so well is you just like stay on message. You know? She's known for one thing.
I know.
And I can trust that when I come to her Instagram, it's going to tell me the thing I came for.
And it's funny because now I feel like I know what she does way more than I used to because of everything. But before, she was the first person that I was like, oh, that's interesting. Because it was so clear. It was like period pain.
Right. She does a really good job. Yeah. So please let us know your...
the doctors!
What?
Amazing. Cheers. Cheers, Barry.
That is insane. I'm so proud of you. Welcome to YouTube Live. We got 3 questions we are going to answer today. If we have time, maybe just 2, depending on how we do.
Yeah, we're going to be efficient.
We're going to be efficient, but also thorough. We want to help as much as we can. Please drop your questions below here, too. If we don't get to them today, we have a whole list of questions that people ask. And we want to get to them all. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start with the vision process.
Cool.
You want to vision process / method for 2022. We did not make vision boards this year, and I'm not really sure why.
We didn't even talk about it.
We really didn't talk about it. I think so. This is like my gut. If you're just like, Macy, tell me why right now. I feel like we just like know what needs to happen to get, like, we're focused on the daily because we know day in and day out putting in the deposits will end up where it needs to be. It's just cause and effect, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. There's a chance that there's some baby action in there where my brain's like, I don't know how to set a goal this year.
That's true.
But there's definitely some personal life flow that was already in place, I will say. Yeah. And same with guide culture. So I'm excited to tell them about the guide culture vision process.
So we really lean into Traction. It's a book. I've taken, notes on it, and we pull it out every time we do like a big yearly situation. And they the way they separate it is a 10-year target,
a 10-year vision,
10-year vision, 3-year picture, 1-year plan. So even just hearing like the word plan, like I think people plan for the vision, but you really got to kind of backwards engineer it. So that's what we're going to talk about right now, is like how to backwards engineer what we need to do. Also, it's so funny. I was just listening to a podcast this morning, and they had just they went on Shark Tank in like 2018, and they were talking about how, they were like a couple years in, and they were projecting like $3 million in revenue, but they had only hit 700,000. That is any new business. They project so big. We absolutely do that too.
I can tell a story if it's it. We were at this conference a couple years ago, and they were asking people to share their revenue goal for that year. That year, not 5 years, that year. It was like February. Yeah. Okay, like the first day of February. And I'm like, $4 million.
Yeah, we like really believed it's going to happen.
I knew it was going to happen. Anyway, it's just funny.
And it just,
it's human things.
I saw a TikTok, it was a joke of how every startup, they're like, hey, we're going to be at 5 million by next year. And everyone's like rolling their eyes like, okay. And it never happens. It's just like who entrepreneurial in you. So we have learned, and we have been very realistic. We also believe in the low and slow game in a major way. Like, there's so many things that we feel about that. But I just kind of I honestly have it pulled up right here. our meeting notes that I think this might help you potentially. So we're really just going to talk about the 3-year picture for just 1 second, and then show you how you can basically divide everything by what you need to see what do I need to do in Q1 of this year to end up hopefully having that picture. So honestly, instead of and I think when I saw the word vision, like all I could see was like a G-Wagon. Like when people think of vision, they think of like
The stuff.
or the beach house or the closet or whatever. And this is literally like measurables. Like this is not the thing.
Trying to think of another example. What is something that y'all have put as like a vision for the year, right?
Yeah.
Like typically.
Yeah, like when you write a vision board, like I see people's vision boards with the G-Wagon. I can't unsee it.
I know. I'm thinking about
like
Barry.
A stage.
Right. I'm thinking about Barry, like what, well, I know we're going to go from like vision to plan. It's like, what were some actions you took? Because you've been becoming the right person.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what did you do to get there? Because so many people want that.
Right.
So that could be a tangible example for people.
Yeah. Let us know, Barry.
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah, but what people are okay, so let me just like so I'm just gonna like write down a couple of things real quick. So if you think about like measurables that you can calculate, you can calculate like revenue, right? Like what you would want, I don't know how to spell revenue, which is a great measurable, but you would back it up to thinking about like, okay, how many units of whatever I sell do I need to sell? So for us, it's seats. For you, it might be courses, it might be books, it might be skincare products. Like I'm not really sure, but think about like the number of units that back up into the revenue more than I want to make this revenue. That's where people mess up, right? They think about the revenue that they want to make. So for us, like the measurables are quite a few things. It's guide culture, it's needle movers, it's daily deposit, it's academy. And then also like everything depends on our coaches, like period. So that's always like academy, coaches, and then guide culture, coaches. So just kind of breaking out like, okay, what do we want for each thing? Like what can we realistically probably hit in 3 years, and then bring that back up to revenue. Okay. But then once you do that, like, so we have all of our numbers. I'm not going to go there because it's honestly just like what we're already doing, just continuing to do it and to do it better. But then from there, like what are the main, we do like 3 to 7 goals per quarter, 3 to 7 like big tackles is what we say. What are the main tackles that would help us achieve that? Because you can get to like, like, oh, I'm going to sell this many things all day long, but it still needs needle moving activities in order for them to actually happen, cause and effect. What are the 3 to 7 things that is the cause that will end up hopefully giving you the effect of hitting these numbers? So for us, I'll just tell you what ours are. Needle Movers Evergreen process. We have never leaned into Evergreen at all because it is a completely different beast, and it is not what you probably think it is. People portray that it's like you just hit go and it just runs on its own and it sells on its own. It is a constant thing and a constant process to manage and to learn. Another one is like Academy Scope and Sequence, which is basically a 2 to 3 year content plan, essentially is what that is. Daily deposit sales, which Needle Movers and Needle Movers and Daily Deposit are kind of married. A living website that's really searchable. Our web pages have carried a lot of weight for us lately, which has been exciting. We've recently got those, which has been really fun. And then putting personality in our content plan. That's just for Q1 for us. And then we just continuously like check on this every weekly meeting. We come in here and we check on it and we're like, hey, are we on track or are we off track for these things? If they're on track, there's really no reason to talk about them. If they're off track, they go on a list of what we call like problems, issues. What do we call them? Not
hurdles.
Issues, hurdles. They go on our list of hurdles to be able to solve, hopefully. Barry says, I saw the white space in the industry and said I want to fill it with fresh and inviting approach. Then I made sure I was being all those things. That's amazing. So I stay focused on my calling. The vision actually formed itself. That's really cool. See, and that's
some conviction right there.
That's a conviction. No, and when you watch Barry, do you mind throwing your Instagram handle so that people can find you in the chat, because her Instagram is a really good reflection of just like pure focus, conviction, and just like helpful for
Very,
people.
very, very.
And then we have like Q1, like specific to-dos that align under the 3 to 7 goals. And then we all own our own thing. So that has been really freeing.
Yes.
This quarter, honestly, is the first time we've really like owned separate projects. Like Kat is owning Needle Movers. I am owning Academy. And it's just felt really good.
It has, and I think give it like a shout of amen if you have felt this. But it just occurred to me yesterday that so often there's the vision of the goal, the revenue goal, and then there's the goal with guide culture, the goal with this whatever program. But what can I think get lost is, well, how do you connect that smaller goal? Because everyone says, oh, well, take your big goal, make it a smaller goal. How do you actually take that smaller goal and make those like actions that align with doing it? It sounds so basic, but I think that is where we're missing.
Exactly.
So it makes me excited about today, what we're doing in Winter Circle.
Yeah, big time.
But it's like, how do you make the aligned actions? Like, because having a vision, having passion, and having something that you want to achieve is like, everyone has that. But why doesn't everyone end up in the same place? Right. And it's really because of like small sets of actions, small chipping away. Like we say, chip away and brick by brick. Like every day it's like, hey, brick by brick. It's just like our mantra, because it really is small things, not the big things that is so easy to think.
Yeah. Another thing that just I highly encourage you to read, it's the No BS Small Business book by Casey Graham. He just talks about like your ultimate intention as someone who's just like is the entrepreneur, like what do you really want for your life, and how that drives a lot of this, and that's been huge for us. Like even just like for the next foreseeable future, like we plan to do 50 seats per cohort. Like I don't want to leave that for a very long time, because it just feels good. It feels doable. There's margin, and then also it's just a healthy flow into Academy, and that aligns with our intent of just like who we are as a business. It's so tempting to be like 1,000 people every, we can do this, we can do. But what does that do to like the personal life? What does that do to us as moms? What does that do to our like? What do we sacrifice in order to do that? And that's why Focus February has been so good. It's just like help people to see that there's a way to have the intent of your business be clear. You do things that align with that, and your whole life feels good, not just one area.
I heard a quote this morning. I was listening to a James Clear podcast. That's why. Oh, cool. Focus. And he said, literally just like about his own life after Atomic Habits came out and it boomed. Oh, yeah. He said, success eats success.
Wow.
Basically meaning that, you can be like in that small, which I think this is such a good, cool part of life, is like when no one sees you and you're just like pouring into yourself, casting vision for yourself, doing what no one else is doing. Like you're unseen, like maybe what you felt for years, before you went on the doctors. You're just like unseen. And then all of a sudden people see you, people want you, and then they're like, oh, well, can you come speak? Can you come do this? Can you come do this? Can you do this? And then all of a sudden what got you to that place is now being overrun by success. Wow. And so it was just so interesting. And I guess it just going back to your intent, like what is your intent? Because it's so easy to let things kind of snowball. And no one talks about vision like this. Most people do talk about like beach houses, but I think it's just that realization of what do you really want for your life and who do you want to become in that process. And then just like being really honest about what aligns with that.
Right.
Because the money is like the easy part. Honestly. That's what I really believe.
Yeah.
It can be at least. Yeah. That's what we believe.
Yeah. Something in this book he talks about that gave me a lot of freedom is just knowing that your intent can change based on your season. And I just never realized that. I just thought I was married to what I wanted the business to be like forever, and that's just not true. And I was like, wow, that is like so freeing to know that we can live in this place of like, this is how much we want to do, period. And maybe as kids get a little bit older, as there's a little bit more, we might just turn up the knob and have a new intent.
Right.
Good.
Crazy.
How fun is that?
So crazy.
So good. Okay, you want to keep moving?
Yeah.
And let us know if you have any questions on that. People get so excited about this kind of stuff. They love the planning, which I hear you. I also like to know what direction we're going in. But the reason we just not are hesitant, but it's just this is not the answer. Being able to have the right actions aligned with this is the answer. So you got to do kind of the unsexy things to be able to have fun with this a little bit.
Amen.
You know? Okay, Kitty. How/if do you follow up with people when they just leave you hanging? You're trying to get information, you're messaging people, you're doing the activities that you think are going to get you where you want to go, but people are just not answering.
Yeah, it's a good question. So follow up. There's so many principles underneath follow up, and so many things we could talk about. And I actually want to keep this super, super simple.
Ooh.
Because business sales is almost exactly like dating.
Oh, it is literally.
It's almost exactly like dating.
Yeah.
And so I just want, it's so easy for follow-ups to become, dating becomes emotional too, but like selling and promoting your business and talking to people, that is a different level of emotion, of vulnerability, and all this kind of stuff. So that's honestly why they're so similar, possibly. But anyway, when you can get emotionally attached to something, I just want to kind of detach that while still acknowledging that following up is going to be a lot like dating. Okay, so one of the biggest things that I tell people when they message me, whether they're our students or they're not our students or whoever, and they say, hey, like I followed up with this person, they showed interest before, they said they needed to talk to their husband, and like now they're just gone, or I don't know, like what had happened, you know? And if your best friend were to tell you that about a guy or the person that they're dating, you'd probably say, it sounds like they're not very interested.
Right.
It sounds like there's something that was missing for them, right? Now, the cool thing about business is that there's a couple things you can do. So I tell people, like, hey, be self-aware. Like, this is just one of those games where you can't say for sure, hey, maybe someone got really busy. Like, I was talking to someone about this winter cohort. She like got super sick. You know what I mean? It was just like offline or whatever. You know, that's just what she said happened. So I'm like, great. Okay. But as a whole, like being self-aware on, were they really interested or were they just trying to be nice? You know? Right. We don't
kick the tires.
We don't need people being nice to us. We need people who are like very serious about getting help. So, the cool thing about business that's different than dating is the fact that you can follow up publicly and you can follow up privately. So maybe following up privately hasn't worked. They've left you hanging and you feel stupid. Following up publicly is probably the greatest gift
of all time
of like the digital age, because with Instagram, and if you go look at the guide culture Instagram, you can actually see this in action. People have questions and people have concerns and people have confusions. Like, what does this mean? What time does that happen? And they don't want to ask you, or they get wound up in their head. So you can actually take your answers public. And sometimes you can just like guess at what their question is. Maybe you sell skincare and they are just like on the fence and they're just like, oh, I don't know if I need this acne system or I need that acne system. Do I even need an acne system? And so you can be like, hey, I don't know for sure what their question is. What I can do is go produce sales content publicly to explain, to maybe debunk a incorrect thought around the thing you sell. And then it helps clear up not only possibly their answer, but 10 other people's answers who are sidelined wondering what you even sell.
So good.
So following up, treat it like it's dating, be self-aware. Are they really interested? And then get yourself some sales skills so that you can create sales content that moves the needle in your conversations, that will probably bring people out of left field in order to like start those conversations. And then you don't feel nearly as attached to that person as you did.
Right.
Because ain't nobody be liking no desperate person.
No, they don't.
At all.
It's just so cool. Like public follow-ups, they cast a net so much bigger than you even realize. Like if you're talking to one person and they reveal a concern or confusion, at least 10 more people are experiencing the same thing, and you get to be the gift giver of bringing clarity and just helping people see things the right way. I mean, so many times I think people assume that guide culture maybe took so much time, more time than they thought that it did. And so when you're able, and they have it anchored in their head as something that's just gonna just take over their life for 8 weeks, and we're able to say, hey, it's actually going to be at most 3 hours a week. They're like relieved. They're like, oh, perfect. Move forward. It's great.
For sure. for sure.
Okay, what did Be Well say? Amen. Academy.
Inspired me to quit my day job in the school system. I went 100%
That's right.
in, and in the first month saw 307. Oh yes, 307% increase.
That's right,
Tally that
that's
made
right.
$100 less. I didn't school. Wow, $100 less. That's like comical in the best way.
What? We need to screenshot that right there. That is juicy.
Wow.
Juicy. I love it. So good. When the vision is right, the money comes. That is so true. Another podcast I was listening to today. I like listening to Barbara's podcast.
Corcoran.
Yes, she has people call in, and I just I love hearing her coach basically. And this girl is talking about how she has like a digital tampon dispenser. She's like, no one ever has coins. Like, when they're in the bathroom, they need it, and she's like, I've been trying for a year, but like the profits aren't right. The profits aren't right. The profits aren't right. And Barbara's like, hey, I just want you to know, like, when you talk about this, you do not sound excited. Like, stop talking about the money. Like, where's your heart? Where's your vision?
Right.
Like, the money is going to come, like, at some point. Like, get your heart right. I'm just like, that's what everybody's saying.
What'd you say?
I'd pulled up, so I turned it off.
Are they usually one-way conversations?
No, they're two-way.
Oh, cool.
It sounds like people leave a voicemail.
Oh, and then they call them back.
schedule a time to do an interview.
Wow.
And it's just really good.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really
well,
good.
that's my answer about follow-ups.
It's really good. Good job, Kitty. All right, we got one more question. And let us know, again, please peep in, say amen. Malika, thank you for saying amen. Let us know the things that you resonate with, and then also any other question. Or if you have any just like insight that we're not saying.
Seriously.
Please share. Okay, someone asked about hiring staff, which I feel so unqualified to answer this. Because the question is, how do you find out the job description? Which Court back here just said, hey, we need some job descriptions. And I'm just like,
like, free spirit.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
Like, put some discipline is freedom a little bit.
I align it with like goals.
Uh-huh.
Because it's like, if you have a goal to do something at the end of the year, like it could actually hold you back. So a description could put someone in a box where they could actually flourish.
What's really cool, and I'm getting ahead of the answer probably, but what's cool about having the right culture in your office, and maybe you feel the same way, you're like, oh my gosh, like I want them to know they can grow and do this and evolve, and then we'll replace them, and it'll be great. What's really cool is that when you have the culture of growth, like everyone it's like a known. They're like, hey, this never, like I'm not held back by this, much less than I am like where my parents were born, right? Like I'm just not held back. Yeah. And that's the culture, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But still starting somewhere is still weird.
The podcast I listened to today, we can link it. It's the Nick Bear and I think his name is John podcast. They were talking about how at the beginning of their company growth, like they had people that were just bought in. They're like, hey, I like you. I trust you. I see potential in you. You see potential in the business. Like, we'll figure out a place for you. Just come on. Yeah. Just come on. We'll figure it out. And it worked. Like, it works so great because the heart, like, you can't buy somebody's heart, right? You could pay who knows how much money, but if their heart's not in it, so, it's not going to be helpful. And so they really hired on heart. And now they're much, much bigger, right? And so they're hiring on talent now, which is great. Like, they need, like, CFOs who, like, have a history in investment. But, like, that is just not our, situation. We really are hiring on heart. And, I mean, I think, like, Court is a perfect example. Like, we originally brought her in for, like, help us with data and, organization. And she's good at that, but where her real gifts have come through is just honestly a lot of creative stuff that we weren't expecting. And so now we're trying to find somebody that can do what she was originally hired to do. And in this situation, we're like, okay, we don't need any more creativity. We do not need any more ideas right now. We just need someone to like really come and support us. And so for that reason, we're hiring the heart, but also looking for a little bit of like structure. So Court is working on some descriptions for us. But we're even leaning in towards like, you are like the needle movers person. I'm the, like just clarity. Cause Court was saying, the new person needs to know where to go. Yeah. If they have a question. And that through descriptions, which she's completely right. So it just like depends on where you are, honestly. And I just like, I cannot encourage enough just to hire somebody at first who's just bought in, not a certain background. We all come from crazy different backgrounds, and that has been such a gift. Sometimes when you're in a background, like you come with all these just a certain type of lens on, and you only see things a certain way. And we want lots of open-mindedness, and that comes from hiring with heart, not what am I trying to say? Certain criteria.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's why I feel like I'm qualified to answer this. I literally go from the heart, from the gut, and you do too.
Yeah.
Maybe at our fault, I'm not sure, but what I do know is that we can figure out anything.
Mm-hmm.
We really can.
For sure. You know, maybe like a super practical answer for this is like being honest about when you think about this whole vision and what do I got to do? Like, what is the most needle moving thing you can do?
Yeah.
And that just depends on like what you're working on. Bailey, I feel like you've talked about hiring before. So like just say, but like be honest, and it might not be, it might be like the least sexy thing ever at the time. I know no one asked about contractors, but some things can be like a contractor job, and then some things should really be a team. I think like for most companies, maybe especially the ones who are on here, like we contracted our website and we contracted some like copywriting stuff, because that's not totally worth having in-house right now. So
maybe one day. Yeah. Sarah Nurswick, how many people are on your team now? Would love to hear from you, because you have really
like 5
grown,
or 6 or 7.
Crazy amount. But I like that too, because I feel like a lot of people, when they think about investing in their business, they think about like a coach, or they think about a course, or they think about like anything but a person to help them.
Yeah.
And they don't even think that that's even an option for them, when really that might be the very thing to actually help you move the needle. Not more information, but less information, extra hands, so that you can go out into the market and sell.
So true. You know, so true.
4 team members right now, multiple interns throughout the year. Yeah. And the thing about interns is like they can be so valuable, but they're not for the long haul. So it takes time and energy, but if you get it right and you have like a clear system, it can be so helpful. So Sarah, I would love to talk to you about how you do interns. She said, we hired within our community vision and brought the vision and mission and figured out how their skills could fill a gap. Yeah, awesome. Absolutely. I mean, a great thing to do is just like list out all the things that are happening and what are the things that could be taken off, so that you can go and do more things, you know?
Yeah.
I'm really fired up about this podcast. I can't talk about this super quickly.
Oh, yeah.
He's just talking about how he like raised money, raised $500,000 to do what he needed to do. I can't remember his name, John something. And there, he asked him, he said, how'd you like raise that money? And he said, well, actually I was just pouring coffee in Whole Foods. I was giving out samples, and I had a like certain college shirt on, and a man came up and said, hey, I went to school there. Like, how can I help you guys? Ended up introducing him to all these like investors. Okay. But my point is, like, you might hear, oh, you're pouring samples, and think, oh, that is something I could like delegate, you know, when really that is you being in the market, and like the person like taping the labels on the cup, like that is something to delegate. But whatever you can do to go get in front of more people and touch more people and get them more to conversations, like that's where you need to live full time.
So true.
That is a stirring the pot moment that he didn't even know was happening. He's like, I was just talking to people. So if you have a list of stuff and you're like, man, I'm like on my computer a lot, or I'm like, you know, in my office all the time, I'm in my house all the time, what can you give up so that you can go to market, so to speak?
So true.
Isn't that crazy?
It's like that Simon Sinek quote, 100% of customers are people, 100% of investors are people. It's just
employees,
knowing the people business. Yeah.
It's so key.
So good.
So key. Well, I hope this was helpful for you. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to always send us the questions. You can just send them in on Instagram at The Guide Culture, and even just opening it up with like YouTube live question, and we will put it on our list and be sure to answer. If you want to be a guest on our show, jump on the phone with us and we can kind of coach through some things that you might be dealing with. Would love to do that. So let's set that up if that sounds exciting for you. Like I said, just send us a message on Instagram, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
See you in the winner circle.
Oh, yeah. 10 a.m.